Three, two, one. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Friday, where we get to talk to friends, clients, and virtual friends, sometimes complete strangers, about how failure has shaped us, how it's made us better at our careers and our personal lives. I challenge you to find one millionaire, billionaire, or just successful person in general. Maybe it's not even measured by wealth, who has not failed absolutely miserably, painfully, and come back from it and become better, more equipped. And we don't talk about that a lot on social media. So that's why I created this creative podcast, I guess. And it's had a pretty good feedback. Today we have Eric Gill. I don't know much about Eric Gill. It's a virtual connection. So this is going to be you getting to know him and me getting to know him. He is a seasoned real estate investor, hard money lender, and the face behind the brand Get Your Life. And this is actually a space where I've become fascinated with. I listen to a ton of Clubhouse, as many as I can, Clubhouse rooms. We are, my husband and I would say, baby, you know, when people first start getting into real estate investing, they buy that single family home. And then they're like, oh, wow, this shit's awesome. And so they try to that aggressively get more advanced. So we're at the part where, and no shade for anyone who has single family homes, but we're at the part where we have 7 of them. We're like, yeah, we could have done this differently. So this is going to be an interesting conversation for me personally. They don't teach this in school.
Absolutely not.
Who are listening to this right now have no idea what a hard money lender is. But you learned it somewhere. So why don't you start there and kind of tell us how you got here?
How I got into real estate initially? And what's that?
Bring us through the whole journey.
I started just like you guys, and nothing wrong. Congratulations on your 7 investment properties. That's amazing. Some people can't take the first step. You guys taking the first step 7 different times, right? So where are you guys investing?
Here locally in Jacksonville.
Okay.
So my husband plays football. He played here in Jacksonville, Florida for 7 or 8 years, and now he's in Texas. So we bought a property in Texas.
Okay. You guys got into the Texas market in Houston. Nice. All right.
Totally different animal. No zoning. I mean.
Well, yeah. Every state's gonna be different, but Texas is a great place to invest because anybody not paying your rent, you can put their ass out pretty quick. So I love Texas. That's probably gonna be the last one of the last markets that I want to get into. But I started when I was 19 years old, and that was about 1 million years ago. I bought my first property here in San Francisco Bay Area. So I got in at a very, 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 very good time. And I bought this guy's course before there was the internet, before there was the gurus on the internet telling you how to invest in real estate. There were guys on TV that were paying for infomercials that were running at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. So I was just up, and this guy called Carleton Sheets had a program out. I just seen him partying, and this was his infomercial. He was partying and living life how he wanted to live. This was the image he was given. And it's like, invest in real estate now. I was actually younger than 19. It's like, invest in real estate now, and you'd be able to live the life, live the dream, and not have to work all your life. And I was like, that's me right there, because I don't want to have to work for somebody my whole life. And back then I was actually a car salesman, and I was making great money paying for school. I was making a lot of money, so I was able to save money. And my mentor back then was also the guy that owned the dealerships, that was also buying homes and developing homes and building homes. So he would mentor me and kind of show me the ropes. But I bought this course, Carleton Sheets, and he said, in 90 days, invest with me and you'll be able to buy your first property in 90 days. I was like, 90 days? All right, I could do that. So I was saving my money at the same time, and bought the course in 90 days. Actually, about 60 days, I bought my first place. Never saw the place. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I still have it to this day. I didn't even see it. I sent my mom in to go take a look at it because I didn't want to see it. She was like, Eric, this place is trashed. But if you put some money into it, you'd be able to rent it out. So So I was like, you know what? All right, I had a realtor, made an offer on the place, never seen the place. And back then, believe it or not, in the Bay Area, in San Francisco, I paid $129,000 for my first place. And this was late 90s. I know I don't look that old, but I am.
Yeah.
this, this is late 90s. I paid 129. And finally I close on the place and go up, finally see it. And there's dog shit all over the walls. The carpet is horrible. Like there's things that as a seasoned real estate investor, I wouldn't care about. But as a rookie, my first property, I was like, oh, what did I do? I bought this place and it's got dog shit and blood on the walls. And I got to take this carpet up and repaint everything.
Where was this?
This is in San Francisco.
Where in San Francisco?
Just in a neighborhood. Like it just was, somebody else was using it as a rental, and the people that was there had been there for years. They had a dog that they didn't care, like they didn't clean up after, but people do this. People live like this. So I got them out and redid everything. Long story short, in, I don't know, less than 2 years, San Francisco market just blew up, and it was worth, I don't know, 450,000 in 2-3 years. So I went from the 129 that I bought it for to 2 years being 450. And then, now it's worth, like, I don't even look at it anymore to see what it's worth, but that's how I got hooked. You telling me I bought this property, I put, I don't know, $10,000 into it after the 129, and I can make $300,000 and have it rented out. So I got it rented out, made my 300-something thousand.
Let's bring that back though, because it's your first. And I think that a lot of times when you hear people talk about this, there's such a laser focus on the glitz and the glam of these types of situations. How much of that work did you have to go in and do yourself?
I didn't do anything myself.
You didn't do anything?
I paid for it. Yeah, no, I paid contractors.
10 grand.
Yeah, about 10, 15,000 max. Carpet, paint. It wasn't like a bunch of things happened. As I said, if I was a seasoned investor, I wouldn't have cared. Like today, I look at that and say, oh my God, this is heaven. Back then, it was my first property. So I was like, this is a lot. Like there's shit on the walls. You're gonna have to paint the place anyway when you buy a new place. The carpet is dirty. Oh, I have to bring up all the carpet. I have to redo a small bathroom. So it wasn't that big of a deal for a seasoned investor, but for a rookie, it seemed like it was a lot, right? So it wasn't. So, people do get caught up in the glitz and glamour. I'm glad you said that, because this is not all glitz and glamour. Like I'm going through a eviction now after been doing this for 20 years that I have to redo a whole house. These people destroyed the whole house, and I posted actually the story on my IG or my Facebook, probably both of them. And this place is completely trash. So it's not all glitz and glamour and appreciation. It is not. Right? You have the trials and the tribulations. You have the tenants that don't pay. You have the people that come in and trash your houses. You have the cities that come in and get you. They're citing you for high grass. Like you got so many things that can distract you from being profitable and being successful in this business that it gets pretty overwhelming. That's why I say get you a coach, get you a mentor.
Yes, a mentor, and then I would say, you don't manage your properties now by yourself. At what point did you get a property manager?
Immediately. Any properties, because I'm here in California, I self-manage because they're close, and it gives me something to do, and also keep a finger on a pulse on my places here. But I'm throughout the country, so I've invested in Nevada, Arizona, Illinois, and Ohio, and California. So I can't be in those places all the time, and quite frankly, I wouldn't want to be. So I have property management teams that I've built in these states. I've vetted these property management teams. Couple of them I've had for 20 years. So my second property I bought in Illinois, I'm still with the property management company that I've vetted there. It comes down to vetting your team. Like the most important ingredient in this recipe is your team. Because if you can't trust your property management team, and if they're incapable of keeping your properties going and getting good tenants, then you can really lose everything.
In your opinion, own opinion on this, granted, you're way farther along than I am, but in your opinion, what are some of the key metrics or key attributes, characteristics that you look for in a property manager when you're vetting them?
Oh,
Mine is the software they use and how many times property.
Say it again.
So mine would be what software they use and how many times they're doing a walkthrough. So my property manager of the properties here does a quarterly walkthrough.
So 4 times a year? Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's good. No, I like to do it twice a year. But how I vet them, it comes down to my initial contact with them before I'm even, a customer of theirs. I reach out to every property management company that's in the area, and I shoot an email, I make a phone call, and whoever responds to me like I would want to be responded to as a customer is who I usually end up going with. And obviously what softwares they use, how they vet their tenants, but really it's the communication, because if they can't get the communication right in the beginning, they'll never have the communication right. If you can't communicate with someone that is trying to give you their business, you don't communicate with people that have given you their business, because once you have it, you're like, oh, I already got the business, I'm not worried about it. So that's been like a big thing for me. How they communicate with me initially before I'm actually their customer is huge. How they vet their tenants, are they also investors, things like that. Also, another good thing if you're going to do out of state investing is, are they a full service property management company? So I want to deal with a full service property management company. If I have to do a rehab after a tenant gets put out or moves out, can you also fix everything without me having to go find another general contractor? So those things are important. But those are my top 3 most important things on my list when looking for a property management company.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't even think I've ever asked that question to my property managers. That's
a lot of people don't. Like, I talk to realtors now because I have so many people hit me up that are realtors, brokers that don't invest. They've helped people invest, but they don't do it themselves. So they really don't think about these things and they don't know. So I have a lot of them hit me up to even vet their property management teams. And none of them ask, is it a full service property management company? Are they going to be able to do a rehab for you? Are they going to be able to, without having to find a GC? And even if they don't, do they have general contractors that are good, that guys you can depend on, right? Guys that are reliable. So those are important keys to be talking to a property management company about.
Well, I also want you to speak a little bit on your transition into even a more unique space. And I say that because I have a client who is a hard money lender, and I asked him, because I was like, I have a lot of cash and I don't always know what to do with it. I'm constantly looking for other great, somewhat, not super risky ways to make money. And hard money lending seems like an interesting space. So I asked him, how do you get in? He goes, it's hard, right? You have to get the trust of like a good title company. So I tried it and nobody was giving me any play. So how did you make that transition?
So it comes down to banks that you've used and people that you've worked with, brokers that you've worked with. Like I got set up through a bank that I've been dealing with probably for, 7 to 10 years now. He has a fund. It's like, Eric, why don't you just join my fund and you just become the lender and also a broker. So you can we'll just send deals to you and also be able to do your own deals. And because I'm doing a mentorship course that anybody that joins my course, I want to guarantee them funding. So I felt like it was a great way to be able to guarantee anybody that takes my course and do it the way that I teach you, I guarantee you funding, right? So that's an incentive for you to say, I would not join this course if I know no matter what, he's gonna hold my hand, he's gonna teach me, and he's also gonna guarantee me funding. He's also gonna fund my loans. Me funding your loans also means that I'm gonna analyze your loan for you too, because I'm not gonna give you money if it doesn't make sense. So it keeps my students like, hey, I'm working with Eric the whole time from A to Z, the end of my deal. So that was the biggest reason for that, and funding my own deals was the biggest reason for me to be able to get in the hard lending space.
I like that. I mean, it's a great space to get into, but let's clarify for viewers and listeners. Do you have to have your brokerage license to become a hard money?
No. In some states, like California, because California's a stickler, you have to be licensed. No other state. No other state. North Carolina, maybe. I would say there's more states where you don't have to be licensed than there are states that aren't.
Would you recommend for people that are getting into real estate investing and have plans of making this, 30 to 50% of their net worth, which it should be, everyone. That's
at least that. It should, in my opinion, it should be at least that.
Well, we're taught that it should be at least 30%, but if you're an overachiever, I mean, we're taught that, at least in what I've learned in my research, that you should get your license if you're going to make this a career, essentially. Do you agree with that? Is it worth it?
It's subjective. Like for me, I don't really care about getting my license. A good reason to get your license, obviously, is to say I have a license, the credentials. But once you have a license, you become a lot more liable to people, right? And you just become a lot more exposed, I feel like. So I'm an investor. I don't need a license. I don't need to sell my properties, but all my properties are in different states mostly. So I'm not going to be able to list my properties, right? I'm not going to be able to be the realtor on my property. So getting a license doesn't really matter to me. The laws that are going to be in California are going to be different in Ohio. The laws in Ohio are going to be different in Illinois. The Illinois laws are going to be different in Nevada, and so on and so on. So I don't really care about a license. It does nothing for me in my business.
That's fair.
In my opinion.
Well, it's one of those things that's just kind of split gray area.
Right. I other than I'm going to list my properties, I want to commission when I sell my properties. I don't want to pay a commission to someone. I can't come up with a reason why I need to be licensed.
Fair. I've toyed with it. I don't have the time. And when I think about how much money it could potentially save me, I'm at the point in my career where it's more about time than it is about money.
Absolutely.
That's not where everyone's at, though. So you have to be careful.
I understand that.
Have the time, put the sweat equity in, you're going to make more money than I'm going to make. But at some point, you're going to have to choose between, your kids and that flip, or your kids and that investment, or the kids and your job. And I'm at the point where I'm going to choose my kids because I can afford to, but not everyone can do that.
Right.
So there's no shame in doing it yourself, but understanding when doing the cost benefit analysis in your head, that's an important skill that you have to learn along the way. Not everyone's great at doing that.
Right.
How long are you doing this? You said late 90s. It's 2022, going on almost
over 2 decades.
Do you want to tell us how old you are?
45.
Good for you. So then you've seen the ups and downs of the market.
Absolutely. I've been through the ups and downs.
So you've been through some failures. That's what this podcast is about.
Yes.
Talk to us about one of those failures that brought you to your knees, almost made you quit, and is now a huge reason of why you're successful.
So I'm going to bring you back to when I was 19 and I saw that $300,000 equity build in 2 years, 3 years. And what I started doing immediately was scaling into big properties. I started getting luxury homes because they were still affordable in Arizona and Nevada and a little in California. So I started getting the $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 homes with the equity that I built from this house. And then my second house, the equity from that one, and my third house, just kept taking the equity out of my houses and buying more houses. So I started leveraging my properties more and more. So instead of being at 50% LTV, I was now closer to 75% LTV.
What's LTV?
Loan to value, folks, right? What I owe on the property compared to what the property is worth. So I started leveraging them and just buying more properties, and I was going fast. So this was 2002, 2003, 2004. I was buying a lot of property, and I leveraged one of my properties, cashed out, and opened an auto dealership in Las Vegas in 2002. And I was selling Highline. What's that?
That escalated.
Oh, I'll tell you that. And that was crazy too. For a minute, I was sitting on top of the world in my head. I was equity was being built. People were paying their rents. People were buying luxury cars, Ferraris, Porsches, and whatever, Range Rovers and all that good stuff. I was a young kid sitting on top of the world making a ton of money. And then, dude, I mean, it chokes me up still to talk about it. I mean, then 2007 hits and start seeing everything slowing down. The real estate market's slowing down. Banks are not approving people and everything's getting sketchy. The writing was on the wall, but you never see it. Like, no matter how much it's hitting you in your face, you don't see it. You don't want to see it. Then 2008 hits and I can't, people are coming in wanting to sell me cars back that they bought. And yeah, I'm like, no, I can't buy it back. And property values are declining and people are stop paying rent.
And playing.
Huh?
And playing.
Yo, people stop playing. People stop playing. People stop playing too. People stop paying rent. And I mean, at that time, I don't know. I think I was 22, 23 properties. And
that's how many properties. I thought you were about to say years old. That's what I think. Oh my God.
Oh, I was close. I was 20, I was 26, 27, 28 maybe. And I had my dealership for 6 years. So that was my baby. That was my income. I was gonna move one from Vegas, open up another location in Arizona. And right as I was doing that, I was having huge house built in Arizona. And then the crash hits, 2008 hits. And I have tenants. My automatic payments aren't coming in automatic anymore. The $4,000 mortgages aren't getting paid, or rents aren't getting paid. People are moving back with their family, and banks that I'm trying to get people approved on these cars, they stop approving the people. They're like, we're not approving people anymore. We're just shutting down. So 2008 is just, I lost nearly everything. That's 80% of my real estate, my dealership gone, because I couldn't get people approved. If you don't have a manufacturer behind your dealership, they're not gonna finance the people that are buying cars from you because you're too small. We're only gonna deal with the big manufacturers, the big factory dealerships, the Audis, the Volkswagens, or whatever else. They're not dealing with the mom and pop guys. We're not giving loans to your customers anymore. So once that goes away, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck with these mortgages. I'm stuck with all these cars that I own on this lot. So I had to make a decision. What do? You do what everybody else is doing. You start letting things go, or you really suffice to a bad time. And it still chokes me up today because it was everything that I had worked for the last 10 years or almost 10 years. Everything I put my blood, sweat, and tears into. Built the dealership from the ground up, built the real estate empire from the ground up. And in a year, 2 years, all of it is gone.
Who was your support system during that time?
My family. That was it. That's all I had. Matter of fact, the day I was closing my dealership's doors, the day before, I called my cousin. I was in Vegas. He was here in California. I called my cousin and told him, hey man, I'm closing my doors. I'm done. I'm losing properties here all over the country. I'm losing my properties. I called him that morning, and by that evening, he was in Las Vegas. My mom drove from Arizona to Las Vegas. My aunt from LA to Las Vegas. My whole family came to Las Vegas thinking, we need to get there. He needs it. He needs the support. If he ever needed it, he needs it right now. I'm a guy, I don't ask anybody for anything, nothing. And I didn't ask him. I was just telling him what was going on in my life. And I really don't open up to many people. So he knew it was something serious. So he called my whole family. It's like, hey, we need to get to Las Vegas. Something is going on with Eric right now. So everybody came in and they were my support system for the next year or two. I had to get rid of my business, left Las Vegas, came back to California. Fortunately, I still had my first property that I ever bought in California. So I was able to stay. I didn't go completely homeless, but I could have.
You didn't lived in your first property?
Moved in my first property. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It was humbling. It was humbling. Like everything was so humbling. But it actually got me to where I am right now. Without that, 2008, 2009, no telling what I would be doing. I mean, I could have taken off more, who knows, but I feel like that was the point in my life that changed me. It humbled me, but it also woke me up to a different way to invest, in a different way. If I could ever come back, I said, I'm gonna do it completely different, and I won't let this happen to me again. So
I have a client, real estate agent. She's been one of the top here in North Florida for decades. And she tells everyone that she has PTRD, which is post-traumatic recession disorder.
Yes.
And she survived it, but she goes barely. Like she were building a house, they had to let everything go, and they were renting a shack, sitting here trying to sell houses, and she just felt like a fraud. She's like, I sell people houses, and I don't even own a home. Right.
Well, I went that year. I went from a Ferrari to a 2002 Volkswagen Beetle.
Wow.
That I had bought for $7,000. Like, it was humbling. Are you laughing at me? I'm pouring out my heart to you, and you're laughing at me.
I'm just picturing it. I couldn't help. What color was it? Yellow?
Which one? The Beetle? Silver.
Okay.
I was like, it was the same color as my Ferrari, so I was like, I'll get a Beetle.
Great. That's what every Ferrari or red.
So after 2008, I mean, it took the good thing, the light at the end of the tunnel was I didn't lose every property. The properties that I had in the Midwest still performed. Not only did they perform, I didn't lose any values in them, and the rents went up.
So let's talk about that. That doesn't make sense to me. That wasn't God, so.
Yes. Blue collar, these guys, they weren't really affected much by this 2008, 2009 recession. The 2008, 2009 recession was really a mortgage catastrophe, right? Right. So the people in the Midwest, they didn't get involved in that. They didn't lose their jobs. They didn't overpay for homes. We're doing that everywhere else. Californias, the Floridas, the Georgias, the Nevadas, the Arizonas, everywhere I was investing, right? The places where you're gonna make fast money, you made a lot of money, but when it hit you hard. You're gonna lose a lot of money too if you didn't plan right? So it was an aha moment for me. I was initially investing for appreciation, because I saw that first property hit that $300,000 in 2 years, and every property thereafter did the same thing. So I was investing for appreciation, and that was my mistake. Well, it wasn't my mistake. Everyone was doing it, and that's just how it was back then. So I shifted gears and started investing for passive monthly mailbox money, we call it, for monthly income. I wanted higher rents and consistency, right? So in less volatile areas. So Ohio and Illinois were my gold mines. The property values, I'm not investing now for appreciation. If I get appreciation, it's the icing on the cake. Now I'm going for monthly income, and that's it. That's what I care about, monthly income. As long as my rents are coming in, I stay about 20% below market value. I don't raise rents, and I get good tenants. I have tenants that have been in my places now for 10 years, 7 years. So those are, what's that?
This is not what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, no one thinks I'm going to say that. But I've been able to scale my business there in the Midwest a lot faster. And it's just been more consistent. And these people, it's not easy for them to get into a house and then leave and move somewhere else, as it is for people here in California. So these people get in homes and they respect them and they enjoy them, and it becomes their home. Mm-hmm. They stay there for years. they're fixing, like, I don't get calls to come fix things. They fix the things in the house because this is their house. They almost have a pride of ownership that they don't own.
That's cool. I don't have that. I think the one good thing I did when I started investing in these single family homes is I didn't want to be a slumlord. I wanted to invest in homes where someone was, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I kind of profiled for a demographic that was like a nurse, a traveling nurse, or like who had a job that they were making at least $50,000 to $75,000.
Yeah.
Glad I did that, because when COVID came, all of my other real estate investing friends were like, they didn't pay rent this month because they don't have to. I got paid rent the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the ROI with a property manager, it's not super sexy.
Right.
But
no, it's not. No.
So when you go to the Midwest, are you looking for factories nearby or large, like corporate business?
I'm looking for a couple different things. I'm looking for, traveling nurses are great. I'm looking for hospitals. I'm looking to see what the industries are there in the town. And I like Illinois, I know where I've been investing there for 20 years. So I know the towns. Like, I own half the town. Literally own half the town.
Tone down the cockiness, just a tad.
No, I'm just being honest with you now. I'm telling you, I've lost everything, and how I went to now build it back. No, but I've been there for 20 years. So, and this is now my main place of investing, because investing isn't sexy anyway. No matter how you look at it, it's four walls and a roof, and that's how I look at it. But tenants are very important. That's why I say your property management team is extremely, extremely important. Like, this is the most important part of your real estate business is the property management team to me. But $50,000-$60,000 is probably going to be high household income where I invest. I do a niche now. I stay probably less than 125 and below, as long as I can get 1.5% rent to ownership ratio. So that means if I buy a house for $80,000, I want it to rent for at least $850, $900 a month, right? And I'm good with those numbers. They stay consistent. My people pay rent. And during the COVID, I only had one tenant that didn't pay. Out of all my houses, I've had one tenant that didn't pay.
Out of how many houses?
I think at that time I had maybe 31 doors. So one tenant didn't pay. What's that?
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what happens when you get in these type of markets. These people, they really can't afford to, now let me mess this up and not pay rent here. Then where am I going to go next? I don't have the money saved up. Like, average American has what, $1,000 in their savings account, right? So that's what happened.
The savings rate makes my stomach hurt in this country.
Look, so they can't afford to move. So that's why they stay there. And it's, like I say, a pride of ownership in a home that they don't own. So I got my rents. Rents are usually on time. I don't get a lot of complaints unless it's something huge. And I don't deal with it anyway. Property management companies deal with it. So I'm fully automated, other than going to find deals. That's what I want to spend my time on, going to find more deals.
Fun part too.
That's the fun part. That is the fun part. During COVID, I wasn't flying out. Now I'm flying out to the properties, and I'm actually met some of the tenants, which it's been all right. It's been cool. Do not do that. Do not do that. Do not meet your tenants. If you have a property management company, let your property management company handle that. Do not meet your tenants. But I have met a couple. But it's been cool.
Do you tell them who you are?
No. My realtor once made the mistake of telling a tenant that I was the owner.
Right then.
She's my favorite realtor though. So she just made a rookie mistake, and she never do it again. I guarantee that. But but this guy, we had to get under control, and he's fine. So
Yeah, I had a nightmare. I've talked about it on a previous episode, which is another topic we can touch on. But one of our single family homes, like I said, my property manager does a quarterly walkthrough that the person schedules, by the way. It's not like he's just showing up and knocking on the door.
Right.
The house wasn't destroyed, but it was one of those DR Horton new build pieces of shit.
Yeah.
So it was a brand new house. It was the first tenant that lived in it. And so the house wasn't damaged, but it was always trashed. And, when it was time to renew the lease, he's like, do you want to renew it? And I was like, they haven't destroyed it yet, but if someone's going to destroy it, it's going to be them. Let's give them 6 months to get out. That lady looked up the address, looked up the LLC. I made the mistake of being the owner with my personal address on my LLC. Followed us to breakfast and confronted us. And that was one of the biggest learning lessons of my life.
Wow.
So structure and liability, and most importantly, at least for me, anonymity is important.
Absolutely.
In Florida, we can't have you can't have an owner. You have to create layers and layers and layers to make it more difficult.
Right.
Would you recommend someone getting started structured so they're not doing what I'm doing right now, just paying $18,000 to get everything structured correctly?
Wow. So what I would do, and how I set up my business, and what I would do if it were me, is I have a holding company built out of Wyoming. So I have a Wyoming holding company, and then I have LLCs under that report up to the holding company. So I like to do like 200, 300,000 max in an LLC. So I'll have 4 properties, let's say 3-4 properties in ABC LLC, and then I'll have 3 or 4 more properties in CDEFG LLC, and they all report up to the holding company. And you can charge a management fee. Really depends on you. I'm not a lawyer, or I'm not a CPA, so you guys need to talk to one of them to get it the way it should be structured in your state. But if for me, that's how I structure my business.
So that goes back to Eric's comment on the team. I think that we get so caught up in, you can do this yourself. You can file your. Don't. That's not something you fuck with.
Don't do it.
That's not mess with. It's so important, even with the liability piece. So I've learned so much in the last year.
That's the biggest part.
I mean, even a single owner LLC leaves you open for risk instead of having a multi-owner. So if you have a spouse or partner, even if they only own a small percentage, I mean, having a dual ownership of an LLC adds an incredible amount of liability. And you guys, resources on, you can reach out to Eric, you can reach out to me, but asset protection is very important, especially when you start getting their 10 properties. Once you start getting to the higher numbers, you got one slip and fall and they can sue you and take everything. So asset protection is key. And the more layers you can have a family trust on top of your holding company. Then you have your LLCs. My name is nowhere. Eric owns absolutely nothing. I have another LLC that I do with partners, so I don't own anything. Everything is owned by my companies. Holding company is operated by the lawyer that you employ?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the holding company is set up by the lawyer that you employ, but your holding company is still operated by you.
But is your name on there when they look up the holding company?
No, they won't see my name anywhere.
In Florida, you can't do that. You could have a holding company, but you have to pay the lawyer. It's like a annual or quarterly fee. So a holding company is definitely more expensive.
Yeah. Or a trust. You can do a trust.
You can do
whichever way works best for your state and whichever way works best for you and your business.
I agree. I mean,
definitely consult an attorney.
An attorney, yes.
An attorney. And if you need, find me. I have resources for everything.
Oh, we're going to put all of your information in here because increasingly, we're coming off a high, right? In 2021, anyone with one eye could have made money in 2021 if they were trying to.
Absolutely.
So you're going to see a lot of people weeded out, but it's conversations like this and experience that is so important. And if you're watching this, I'm sure, I mean, you've already mentioned you have a course out, so we'll make sure we include that, tag you in it on Instagram. How do you prefer to be contacted?
EricGill.com, you can get everything. Eric with a C. EricGill.com or EricGyl.com, or IG is at Eric Get Your Life.
When I wanted to touch on this before we wrap it up, but we've talked a lot about single family homes. Do you have any multifamily homes?
Yes, I do. I'll go up to 4 units. Ooh,
why?
It's just my sweet spot. Remember, I told you I don't like to go over $125,000-$130,000, which I may start getting back into that realm, especially right now where prices are dipping a little bit, and these new landlords, these new investors are looking to get out because they wasn't expecting to be hit with a recession. And when they run into people not paying their rents and they see values start tumbling, they get scared. Where for me, I'm complete opposite now. I want to jump on it. Like I said, I won't let a recession hit me the way it did in 2008 again. I'm prepared this time. So I may jump into the bigger units, and my end game is I really want to become a developer. I want to start building. So yeah, 5 years. I'm giving myself a goal for when I hit 50. So that's 4 years, because I'll be 46 in 2 months, is to start building myself. And I'm also doing tax lien certificates. So
that's a sweet spot too. First of all, there's so many real estate agents right now, and there's a few in a focus group that I'm in, and they're always asking for business, right? Because right now they're going to start getting weeded out a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, realtors are about to start going bye-bye.
But I tell them all the time, like, what you could do is there's so many different niches.
Absolutely.
Tax lien is one of them. It is hard. First of all,
no one's touching it.
It is so hard to find a commercial agent, much less an agent that knows shit about tax liens.
They only know about what they're trained to know about.
Residential. Or even one that knows about Airbnb, finding good investments for Airbnbs or something commercial. You cannot, so if you're a real estate agent watching this, take the time to save your ass and become super educated in one of these topics. If I had a real estate agent for each one of the, like, send them over for a week.
Learn these niches, learn them, because people are going to be looking to you for information and to be saved and helped, and you're not going to have that information, and you're going to fall to the wayside.
And I also think I got so much heat on one of my recent posts about recessions and how whether we like it or not, they are a natural part of our market, not going anywhere. They've been
happening.
For
historically, it's been every 10 to 12 years.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's emotional, and you can blame it on who's in office. You can blame it on things that were done. It's coming either way. And if you can prepare yourself, maybe this isn't the one you prepare yourself. Maybe this is like Eric 2008.
This was my 2008.
Maybe this is where you get your ass kicked. But the next time around, recessions are the ripest picking for opportunity.
Absolutely.
Or you have an ability to get past fear of the common herd right now, you can make so much fucking money.
Right now, you can set yourself up for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life. And nobody wants to hear that, because they're like, well,
you're taking advantage of less fortunate.
Oh yeah. Someone on my last post was like, are you going to pay my groceries when I can't afford to buy groceries? I was like, no, but I mean, I'm telling you to prepare for it. It's not exactly here yet. Save some money. I mean, you should be
preparing to be able to pay for your groceries way before you can't pay for your groceries anyway.
But when you first started, how much cash did you have to put down on that first investment property?
Probably 20%.
Okay, so that's high. But a lot of times you can learn how to buy an investment property without or with very little.
Nothing. I've bought them with zero down. In that time with zero. What's that?
People don't understand that. Or they'll, right now I'm hearing a lot, well, rates are way too high. Rates are high compared to what you're used to.
Right. These are the new investors. These are the people that came and see, oh my God, this is easy. Like, why haven't I done this forever? Because this is so easy. And now you're going to run into the times where it's not so easy.
It's just going to take some work. And I know a lot of us, real used to that. But we are in a time where there is so many resources online, on YouTube, on Reddit. I mean,
Get
Twitter.
a mentor. Get someone that has the experience. Get you someone.
A mentor, Eric.
I mean, you guys are all on social media. Everyone's on social media. There's someone that you know that is, I mean, you come to me, ericgill.com. But if it's not me, it's someone is out there, right? There's a ton of mentors, ton of gurus that can actually teach you. They're going to charge you, but it's probably the best payment that you can ever make to help speed your experience.
I agree. And another thing I don't see utilized enough is every city, to my knowledge, at least most cities, have a chamber of commerce where they have literal groups that meet on these topics, or even meetup.com.
Go to real estate meetup groups.
Meetups. Those are, I mean, I used to, before I had kids, I was at least 2 of those bad boys a week.
And you can do them online.
You can, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some cities that you can do them online. It's meetup.com or
yeah,
literally that simple.
So much free information.
Get in one of these forums, instead of just scrolling on Facebook and social media, get into one of these Facebook groups in the city or state that you want to invest in, and voila, you find yourself with guys that talk about this all day.
But you have one of those brains where you just naturally gravitate towards these types. But could you have imagined if these types of resources were as readily available as they are today when you first started?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like I was flying, back then I was flying to these Midwest states to look at properties, and I would be there for a week at a time to try to get a tenant and also to look at properties to buy. And then I'd make an offer before I left. Whereas now I have teams, I have realtors, I have the property management companies, I have general contractors where I don't have to come out anymore. I do it now just because of the sport. Like I love to come see when the rehab is done. Like I love that. I love to see a house beat up and then it come back in 3-4 months and now it's beautified. Like I love that. I like to see when I have to come and now rehab a property that we put a tenant moved out of. Like I have an eviction right now. Oh my gosh, so horrible.
Never great. They're never easy.
Absolutely. I've only had 2 evictions. Like this is how I've been in this game. I've only had 2 evictions.
You are.
Yeah. But it comes down to your team also, just really, really vetting these people. We don't say yes to the first person just because they say they can pay rent. I'm patient. So I like to have, like I said, I like to have people that are in there for years. So I always keep it a point to stay 20% below the market on the rents. So, and I rarely go up. If it's a tenant that doesn't bother us and they're just fixing everything in the property, I rarely go up on the rents.
That blows my mind. Like that was, when you said that, it was such a light bulb moment for me, because literally tonight I was at an event before I did this podcast, came in at 9:22, got home. And I got an email from my property manager. One of my tenants put in a repair fix because one of their burners isn't working. And it's the same expense.
Same person.
To buy a whole new stove.
Oh, wow.
He was like, so do you want us? It's $450 to fix the burner. And it's $509 to buy a new stove.
Yeah.
The property manager, like, how about this? How about we buy a new stove and then we'll sell the existing stove on Swip Swap for you, and we'll put the money in your account. Oh. And I was like that workaround. But imagine if she just fixed the burner.
Right. Well, I mean, $490 is a lot for people to spend sometimes, especially when they're renting. Like I would think the same thing. I would be like, well, $490 I'm gonna spend on the stove. It's not my stove. Like that's legit. I know you should. I know. I'm just thinking as the tenant.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Right. But she's not calling you for toilets and calling you for, oh, there's a hole in the wall that we need patched, or things like, or the light went out over the stove, or things like that. Right. Something like a $500 expense is big for a tenant. It's not their house.
No, I agree. I should be paying for it. But the idea of a tenant being able to fix that without calling
absolutely. I have tenants that does absolutely everything, no matter what it is. No matter. Fix the gate, draw the garage door opener, they fix it all. They live there, and this is their home. So one of the homes I bought in Ohio recently, the guy had been living there for 8 years, and this was a guy that I met because I was there. I wanted to do a walkthrough. I was looking at a rehab that I was doing, so I was like, let me go look at this house that I'm in escrow in, and the tenant happened to be there. So he comes out. I was like, and this is the one my realtor said I was the owner. So I was like, yes, I'm the owner. He said, okay, I just want you to know I fix everything. I never called the old owner. I've been here for 7, 8 years. I just want to make sure that I don't have to move. It's like,
you bought it with the owner already in there.
Yeah. The owner, no, not the owner, the tenant.
The tenant.
Yeah, the tenant was there. So, and the owner told me the owner, which was another investor, said the tenant didn't want to move. Did I mind him staying? Absolutely not. As long as he can qualify, he can stay. He's like, the guy never calls me. He fixes everything. And if he's selling me the property, of course he's going to say that. He's going to blow up his tenant and say he's amazing. So I actually met the tenant, and he was like, nope, I fix everything. The fence fell down, I fixed it. The garage door opener broke, I fixed it. He fixes everything. He said, I've been here for 7, 8 years. This is the last house I want to live in.
My question would be, why are you selling this property?
Well, the investor needed money, needed cash. And that happens. We become house rich and cash poor, which I don't mind, because cash sitting now, you're losing.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother conversation right there.
Absolutely.
To conclude, which of your properties is your favorite and why?
Which what?
Which of your properties is your favorite? And
they're all properties to me. They're all four walls and roofs, except when I say except the first property that I ever bought. The first property I ever bought that I told you about, that I had my mom go up and take a look at. My mom passed away in December of last year unexpectedly. So there's no way I could get rid of that property ever. That's my favorite property.
Do you have tenants?
Because I've had a tenant there for, 11 years. She's been there forever. And before that, I had to live there for, a year, 2 years, but before that it was another 10 years. So I've had 2 tenants there, and I've owned it for 20 something years. But that property got me everything. That property started everything for me.
It planted the seed.
And catapulted me, able to buy my store in Las Vegas, able to buy the other properties. That property is twice. So that property, I would have to say, is my favorite property. I could never get rid of it.
You should write a book, and the street name should be the title.
The street. Oh. A book is probably on the calendar. I don't know when, but it's on.
Your story's too good. I appreciate you so much. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where I've ran through my clients, I've ran through, my family and my friends. So now it's just people that come on that I find interesting, or I like their page.
Absolutely.
And every Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we film it, because it gets posted on Fridays, I'm always at a loss for words. So I'm like, damn, the world's not as bad as you think it is.
Absolutely not.
Many beautiful people just through the process, and this is why I do it. So thank you.
No, I appreciate you. Kendall, are you in my Facebook group?
I don't know.
I'm gonna get you in my Facebook group, because there's a bunch of amazing people in my Facebook group that you'd be like, oh my God, Eric, you just opened me up to a plethora of amazing people. You have a plethora of amazing people, woman. So no, it's been fun. Like it was really fun. Even though we pushed it back an hour late, it was definitely worth it.
It's totally my fault. I double booked tonight. I mean,
all good. It's all good. I'll be up until tomorrow anyway.
Oh, that's not healthy. That is not healthy.
God.
All right. I'm going to tag your Instagram, make sure everybody can get to you. Everybody check out Eric's course. And again, loved having you.
My course will be released January. Hit me, ericgill.com. Access to everything.
January. Do you have a date yet?
Probably my birthday. I will hold my first live course. It'll be January 26th.
All right. Are you a Clubhouse?
No.
You need to get on
Like,
Clubhouse.
I have too many social media platforms already. Like Clubhouse was just too much.
Background noise, dude. It's just background. But there's a lot of amazing groups that give a ton of free advice on there.
I'm sure.
And that's another great platform. But all right, I'm going to bed.
I understand. I'll see you. I'll catch you on the flip side.
Amen. Night.
Night.